What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. You're watching From Prison to Purpose. You may be listening to it. I don't know, but I am glad you're here. My name's Jimmy McGill. I'm an author and a public speaker. I'm a successful person who has returned to society from incarceration to show the world that there is life after prison. I'm a husband, a father, a homeowner, founder of a nonprofit, and I've done a lot of cool things in my life, and all that is solely because I am a person in long-term recovery from the disease of addiction. And we like to use this podcast to show people that there is life after drug use, there is life after incarceration, and today is a phenomenal guest, Brian Fleckenstine. He is an APRN, and that's a fancy word for nurse practitioner, psychiatric, so he can do all kinds of cool stuff. But I saw him in his early recovery journey, and he is from my hometown, and he has done time all across the states in different jails. And despite a plethora of self-imposed disadvantages, he still defied stigma and the odds that were stacked against him and created this amazing life. And we're going to talk about it today. So without any further ado, Brian, welcome to the show.
Yo, what up, Jimmy?
Hey, you excited?
I am.
It's cool to see you here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So let's just dive right into it. Where are you from? What was life like growing up for you? And what did that look like for Brian?
I'm from North Little Rock, Arkansas, born and raised. I come from a good family, middle class. Parents got divorced when I was 9. At that point, that's kind of when I started noticing things were different for me as far as like what I was seeking. But yeah, born and raised in North Little Rock, Arkansas. I've lived in Florida, Michigan, was in Cuba for a little bit with the Navy. So been a little bit all over.
Nice. So when did the drug use start for you?
People ask me, I'm like, man, I don't remember what I did yesterday, so 13 or 14, I think I started smoking weed and drinking, and then it progressed. But that's 13 or 14 is when it started.
What do you think happened that made you want to try finding a way to escape whatever it was you were trying to run from? Do you think you were running from something and that's why you smoked, or were you trying to fit in? Or
it's probably the fit in. I don't think I was running from anything. Maybe for friendships, right? Or I don't think that I was running from anything. Maybe just trying to fit in. Struggling, teenagers, those feelings and emotions, right? Trying to deal with those. And it was easy when I got something in me to deal with all that stuff. So,
yeah. We don't know how to process our feelings till we're loaded. So which came first, the weed or the drink?
The weed.
What'd that make you feel like that first time you smoked?
I mean, just, a lot of laughing, giggling.
Really? You got the goofy.
Yeah, got real goofy.
Did you get the munchies?
I did.
I
remember like it was cool, but like, I don't know. It was just one of those things like, I knew this wasn't it. There was more to this. And I remember that from an early age. I mean, when I started, like, yeah, this is cool, but
there's a but in there, a cancellation.
Yeah.
One of the things we like to do on From Prison to Purpose is laugh about the things that used to just cause us so much pain, So yeah. I never understood that, smoke a $10 blunt and eat $100 worth of food. You know what I mean? Like, and the weed made me stupid paranoid.
Yes.
I was not one of those people who enjoyed pot. Like, as soon as I smoked it, I felt stupid. I thought everybody was laughing at me and that you knew how stupid I was, and I tried to hide from the world.
Yeah. Same.
Really?
Yeah, same.
Then why in the hell did we keep smoking it?
I mean, because it was everywhere. It was the easy stuff to get a hold of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my first time was out of a Coke can. Like, come on.
Yeah, old carburetor.
Yeah.
Safety pins, put the holes in it.
Come on. I just knew I was dumb doing this.
Yeah. So after the marijuana started, what did that drug use progression look like for you?
I'll never forget my first experience with cocaine. It was a primo, at a guy's house, and I'm not gonna say any names, but anyways, that's how I was introduced to cocaine. And after smoking that blunt, I knew right? Like,
Yeah. So
okay,
for the
this was
for the
it.
listeners that don't know what a primo is,
Yeah, it's just marijuana laced with cocaine.
what'd that do to you?
I just remember the ride back to school going, oh yeah, we in there.
Energy.
Yeah.
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 You're feeling good.
Yeah. Way different than what I was feeling with just the marijuana.
Now, how old were you then?
I don't know, 15, 16.
So you'd been smoking for a while before you stepped it up.
Every day. Just, I mean, not at 13 or 14, but for sure 14 and 15, it was all the time.
So the drinking from 13, 14, 15, the drinking, the bud smoking, was it like every weekend party scene?
No, it was no. I'd stay high every day. Middle school, 7th and 8th grade, not so much, but as soon as I touched down in 9th grade, it was
As a wrap.
Yeah.
How did you hide that from your parents?
Since they got divorced, there was like this power struggle
over you.
Yeah, for me. And
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And, I learned a good lesson from that, like what I don't want to do, right? And how I want to co-parent. Because of the non-co-parenting, I think that sent me in a worse place. And my parents were good. I have fantastic parents. They helped save my life. But, just the bitterness, between them, it was just a constant battle for me and, who I loved more. And, anyways, as time went on, I lived with my mom most of the time. I saw my dad every other weekend. He owned a rent house across the street from Central High School. So those weekends were kind of wild. Lived in a triplex in Levy. But, I love my dad. I looked up to him, but I didn't see him often. I was always at my mom's, and she lived in Lakewood. I spent most of the time with my friends, or tried to.
Yeah. So one of the things that we notice about guys from North Little Rock, right? Like we had Mary Beth on here recently, and, I'm from North Little Rock, and North Little Rock's famous for a couple of things: gang banging and methamphetamine, right? And so most white people that came out of North Little Rock in your age era were affiliated to some kind of gang. How did you duck that, or did you duck that?
Yeah, no, I ducked it. I wasn't ever affiliated. My thing was cocaine for a long time. I got into the meth in my early 20s, but I was a cocaine guy for a long time. And some of the guys that I knew across the tracks, they loved me because I was going to spend money with them. But I just never had any gang affiliation.
You grew up around it?
The gang affiliation? Mm-hmm. No. I knew some guys in gangs. It wasn't my,
It's crazy to hear you say that. It's like North Little Rock has two separate worlds in one.
For sure. I like to, it was easy on my side. And I could go get the dope on the other side. I could hang out for a little bit. I remember, that's where I learned how to play dominoes and off a Pike and Short 17th.
See, that's all gang affiliated.
Yeah, but
especially the white boys over there.
Yeah, just clean cut white guy, man, and just pop in for a night or two and dip.
Right.
I'd pick my stuff up and come back to the nice side where it was all just like privileged, and we never. There's so many instances in my life where I skated.
On thin ice, probably.
Yeah. And so it was nice. And, it was fun for a few years.
Did you ever see anything crazy when you went to that side of town to like hang out and just buy dope and do dope and play bones?
I mean, no, not any crazier than I've seen the rest of my life, No, nothing.
You've seen some. Yeah, I bet you've seen the way you've traveled, though. I bet you've seen some crazy stuff. And
yes, sure. Yeah. I've hung around killers and been a part of that, and skated from Florida just in time.
Yeah. Well, tell me about that. What's that look like?
Man, Duval County. Shout out Duval. that was probably the roughest period of my life. I was with the mother of my daughter, and it's just a toxic relationship. And, man, I'm just, I look back at those days, it's just so regretful. But, met this woman, and we dated for a long time, and had Sophia, my wonderful daughter. And anyways, life was very chaotic because I just couldn't stop using. No matter where I went, I can fit in anywhere.
Now, what were you using at that point in your life?
In Jacksonville,
Yeah.
Well, it transferred, to the hard, to crack, to the butter. I got in with some guys that were some heavy hitters off of Justina Road, and I went to visit that place actually last January for the Arkansas Bowl game, and it just looks like a war zone. But I was there every day, on the stoop, and just, man, that's a hard place to be around all day, every day.
So you're in a relationship with Sophia's mom, and
she's got an order of protection on me. So I'm not living at the condo, I think I was living, I wasn't, anyways, where I was living, it just, anyways, I chose to, I went searching for something, and I found it. I found my little crew, and I had fun for a little while. But it was the scariest time of my life, for sure. It was Justina Road.
Yeah. And so you're in full-fledged crack addiction at this point.
Yeah. I never forget. I let a crackhead finesse me into trying it. And I remember that first hit going, I cussed him out. You told him, get out, because I knew that I was in trouble.
You loved it.
Loved it. And for whatever reason, there wasn't any, at that point in time, I had done plenty of meth, and I was a more go guy. I loved the meth. But it just wasn't where I was at.
What did the crack make you feel like when you hit it that first time?
Too good. Too good.
And
I love the want. I mean, to sit here and think about it, it's like you talking about the marijuana, how stupid, because this is the shortest high, and I'm going to sell everything, right?
To get more
and have nothing, and do all this goofy stuff to just maintain.
Well, how did you maintain your crack habit at that point in your life?
I had a job. I had a decent job as a medical assistant, working for a pulmonologist in Jacksonville, Florida.
While you were smoking crack?
Yeah.
How did you hide that?
Well, I don't know. I started, they came to know that I was going to miss at least a call in one day a week. I don't know, man. I just made it shake. I'd leave the strip club, no sleep, and go to work. We were in the strip clubs all night long, and I would leave, I'd get everybody home. I'm the only one with the clean driver's license, and I might get an hour's sleep, maybe not, and go into work.
And so you were kind of like a functioning drug user.
For a little while till I got fired. Yeah, sure. It always caught up to me.
What did it look like when you got fired? Did it go downhill, or is it possible at this point in your life for you to go downhill?
Oh yeah. There's always people always, they said, I hit my bottom. I said, well, there's always a basement.
Yeah. There's a trap door.
Yeah, for sure. If you want there to be, so lost that job, and I just remember being with them every day, all day. A couple of the guys were wanted for murder, and I remember, we had different houses, right? When we cook, and there'd be lines out, 30 deep around the apartment complex or the house. And I just remember that we would catch wind that the police had kicked that door in the next day, right? So we were always, they were close. Right?
They were, one step behind you.
Yeah, they were there, but they were close. And I just remember thinking to myself that, like, I'm going to go to prison for murder, right? Or accessory to murder, or get tied into this, and I cannot have that happen. And we literally moved. I wasn't even with, Sophia's mom at the time, but I remember knocking on that door like 2 a.m. saying, hey, we got to go. Packed up a 27-foot U-Haul and moved in a tropical storm, packed all our stuff up, 2 cars, one of them on the hitch of the U-Haul, and drove to Michigan. Phew.
Now, I assume the police ended up catching the guys?
Yeah, I got a call. I don't know, a month or two later, right? And one of the guys was like, "Hey, man, such and such got," and that's when I had got this scar. It's like right after I got this scar, I went to jail in Michigan and caught a DUI and a gun charge, and I'm like, man, I can't even help myself. Like, what do you want me to do? But I knew that they had got him.
So what did they end up doing to them?
I heard he got 12. I think. Listen, when I went to Michigan, I got those phone calls for a little bit, and then I was on my. It's like that's not my business anymore. Whatever y'all got going on.
Yeah. Why Michigan?
That's where her family was from, which is kind of strange because she's Dominican.
Yeah.
She lived in the DR until she was 9, moved over here. Anyways, met her in the Navy in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. But a lot of her family is in Michigan. They were in New York for a little bit, moved over to Michigan. So we moved to Michigan. I didn't want to move home because I know what kind of shape I was in. And it's embarrassing, right? It's shameful. I didn't need my family to see how terrible of a father I was to my daughter and her brother Christopher, my son, and who I was raising and did not raise. So we moved to Michigan.
So when you get to Michigan, what's it like?
Oh man!
I mean, you just went. Did you go straight to looking for more drugs, or did you try to not use it all?
For sure. I don't have any at this point in my life. I don't know how to cope. Right? I'm always searching for something because I don't know how to. I don't know how. I don't know how to live, and so I've found because I've done a little bit of the dog food right in Florida. And I found more of it in Michigan.
So for the listeners, what are you calling dog food?
Heroin.
Okay.
I'm not a needle guy. I've always snorted and smoked everything I've gotten. And so, anyways, it just progressed there. I found some more dog food, found some guys from Division Street in Grand Rapids. And I couldn't partake, and the Hispanic families are tight. Like I had all the support I needed and I just, couldn't do it. Couldn't stop.
Use.
Yeah. I didn't know how.
Yeah. There's really no mental defense for us when we're in active addiction, right? Like people are always like, why do you keep doing it? Why don't you stop? Because we can't.
Yeah.
We can't stop.
I literally wanted to stop like the last 5 years of my using and I could not.
Yeah, Brian, I remember staring at a loaded syringe one night in North Little Rock. I had been up so long that I was nodding out, looking at this rig, knowing that I was going to do this shot of dope. Hated myself for doing it. I did not want to do it. The sight of it made me sick. I felt sick at my stomach just holding that sucker. And I knew that I was going to do it. And I didn't want to. Yeah. With tears falling, literally did not want to do that bump. Yep. And I did it anyway. Like when you're that far gone, not to get all clinical scientist, brainiac on people because I don't have any major degrees, but what I do know is that with repetitious drug use, the brain starts rewiring the pleasure and reward system. And the only thing that we think about is getting and using, and it just becomes this repetitious obsessive thought. And another word for obsessive is a fixed idea, a reoccurring thought that dominates all other thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And until we act on that thought, it's there.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Right. And so, what happened? How did you catch the DUI and the gun charge? Where'd the gun come into play at?
I always had a gun on me.
That's scary.
Yeah, I know. And Chelsea laughed at me. We can talk about that later, but she was like, oh my gosh, what happened to you? Cause she was giving me rides to meetings and I always had my gun, road rage and waving it around, just silly stuff. Just the paranoid mindset of living that chaotic life. anyways, it's kind of laughable, but the Michigan story is a pretty funny one. I won't tell you like the preface of it.
Yeah.
I was just on a binge, right? And I had, I could have pissed hot for 14 things in the cup, right?
Yeah.
And it was my first time. I remember going to the VA there, and I was telling the doctor I can't sleep. He was asking me about my sleep, and of course I can't sleep. I'm smoking hard all day, every day, which was wild. Anyways, the man gives me some Ambien, and I had this job interview. I couldn't pass a drug. Anyways, had a job interview, and I was trying to get right. Okay. I was living at this pay by the week motel up there, and half the time I would spend that money and be sleeping in my car. But anyways, so yeah, I had this plan. I left a voicemail too on this guy that I was kind of hustling with. We were selling some cocaine, but I had this plan, and I won't talk about it. And I was on my way to do this plan, right? And I had taken some Ambien, and so I don't remember anything but waking up and splitting my wig, right? I had hit this pole on the highway in Michigan, and the next thing I know, I'm like, I've got on all black, if that tells you what I was headed to do. But there's blood everywhere. And I said, oh my gosh, my car's, it's jacked up. It's not drivable. And so here I go. Best thinking, said, let's call the police and tell them somebody hit you and you need some help. And so that's what I did. And it
called the police on
myself. Yeah. Yeah. Which is a fantastic story. It's the only time I think I've ever called the police in my life. And anyways, good cop, bad cop show up, and one of them was going to let me go. He said, "Hey, you got a ride?" And then the other cop, he's looking around in my vehicle, right? And I said, "I got a ride. I will get a ride here in 10 minutes. I promise you that." And as we were having this conversation, the other guy's like, "Hey, we got some guns back here." And he found one of them, and he didn't find my pistol. He found the shotgun and blah, blah, blah. And so they took me to the ER first. I had split my, anyways. So, yeah.
So how long were you in jail for that little trip?
Kent County, a couple of days. I remembered that the guy that I was hustling with had contacted my mom. I mean, like I told you, man, my parents, they fought for me my whole life. The one felony charge that I had in Conway, my dad paid for an attorney, and, so anyways, it was a couple of days and I was bonded out.
Wow. What about now? Do you want to talk about Cuba?
Whatever.
I'm just, yeah. I mean, it's like good. We were talking earlier about my son Carter, traveling all over, and it's like you were a traveler too, except you kept going to jail everywhere you went. Like thus far in your story, that's the common denominators is Brian, crack, jail.
Yeah. There's a lot of other substances too, but yeah, the hard definitely took me down through there. Listen, I did a little time in the Navy, right? Because I caught that terroristic act charge in Conway, right? Where we tried to blow up this propane tank.
No, we ain't even talking about, back up. Let's talk about Conway. Okay. Well, so you're MacGyver. You're going to blow up a propane tank.
Well, the thing is we went to a frat party, me and three of my friends. And anyways, big, we're trying to holler, the girls and the guys don't like it at this party. And so, and thank God, we appreciate y'all for not, because they could have done a sin. It was about 50 on, about his size.
Yeah.
50 on 4. Anyways, well, one of my buddies was like, he's a big guy. He's like 6'6", 230, 240. And
yeah, he ain't finna put up with all that racket.
Yeah, he said, man, I didn't put a dent on my new truck too. He said, no, we going back. And of course, I'm hitting the line, and and I said, bet I'm rolling with you. And two of the buddies in the back said, no, you can drop us off.
Yeah.
So we went home, got a shotgun and a propane tank, anyways, just being, there's no,
what was the propane tank for?
Well, we're trying to blow it up.
You were going to shoot the propane tank with the shotgun?
We did. Yeah. And it, fortunately for us, right? Like there's a whole lot of instances, people call it luck or whatever. I've got lucky tattooed on me in this, but it's like a God doing for me what I could not do for myself. A lot of instances in my life. So yeah, I set that thing by the party. I mean, I don't know what, like what the thing was behind it. Like, were we literally trying to kill about 50 people, or were we just trying to scare some folks? I mean, it was what it was. You
can't even answer.
You get an 8-ball in you, and it is what it is.
No, yeah, you're just acting without thinking.
Yeah. So
what happens when you shoot it?
It doesn't blow up. It ricochets. It's a bird shot, right?
Oh my gosh!
So it ricochets and hits some people.
That's terrible.
Those crazy white boys chased us on the freeway, right?
Yeah, you done pelleted them.
We dipped, and yes, and so anyways. And then the state troopers got involved,
wow,
chased us down.
And so you get a terroristic threat now.
Terroristic act.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah. So anyways, got a lawyer, and my lawyer, was telling me about Faulkner County, and he said, it's the Wild Wild West, man. They do what they want out there. And anyways, he said, but I think we can do this old school way is they'll drop it down if you'll go serve in the military. I said, sign me up.
Right now.
So no, I don't want to go.
Why'd you pick the Navy?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Did you think there was good coke in the Navy?
No. I just remember like, man, I'm not trying to go beat. You put me in the infantry right now. I'm killing people and I'm dying.
Dead meat.
Yes, it's over with. It's over with.
You're the first one bit in the zombie apocalypse.
Yes. So you talk about true psychopath. Like, I don't care if I am going to die, but y'all going with me.
Yeah, I'm taking 20 with me.
Yeah. And I knew in my head that like, hey man, you won't have much longer on this earth if this is what you choose, because you will go do that, and that's what will happen.
Man, it's so crazy, man. Our way of thinking when we're out of there like that.
And I couldn't get into the Air Force because they were looking at the history or whatever. And
yeah, you higher than the plane.
Yeah. And I was high the night before I went into MEPS. I could not pass my drug test. I couldn't stop using bars and Xanax, and I could not stop.
Yeah, you're literally a walking drugstore and street pharmacy all in one.
I couldn't stop, man. And dude sent me in there. I went to boot camp. And I detoxed in boot camp, 130 pounds. I'm 6'1".
I bet that's
terrible. Sirens going off at 4 a.m. Get your ass up. Excuse my language, but man,
you're in there dying.
My rack mate thought I was pissing myself because my bed was soaking wet every day for like 2 weeks, coming off all that stuff.
Oh my gosh! I bet when you started feeling good, though, you started feeling better.
That was the funnest time of my life. I was like, oh, I can change my life here. Right. And it wasn't long. I mean, I got out of boot camp, gained 40 pounds, feeling good. Went across the street in Chicago to the A school, and I started drinking over there, causing trouble. It's like that, I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop.
So how do you end up in Cuba?
Well, my first duty station was in Pensacola. I make friends, right? I love people, all kinds of people.
Usually the wrong ones.
No, not necessarily. Anyways, the master chief of our group, he loved me, man. And out of all, there was like 75 of us. And out of all of us, he said, hey, Fleck, where do you want to go for your duty station? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, where do you want to go? And I said, listen, I'm from Arkansas. You keep me in the South, I'm going to be all right. And so he said, well, what about Florida? I said, bet. And so I went to Pensacola. I got to Pensacola. I was sitting there thinking, well, if I signed up, there's got to be something behind this, right? I said, where do we deploy to? Because sign me up, put me down. Like the first week I was there, hey, put me on this list. How does this happen?
Yeah.
And I was supposed to go to Kuwait in like 2 days before it had changed. And they said, you're not going to Kuwait, you're going to Cuba. I said, all right, bet. And so like me and one other guy were on this big C-130. It's just us two from Naval Hospital, Pensacola to Cuba. And I was with a bunch of people from Jacksonville, Florida Hospital. And so we were kind of the outliers. We weren't trained on this. They had spent 4 months training in Washington State. And anyways, that's where I met Sophia's mom.
You were both in the Navy?
Mm-hmm. Most beautiful person I'd ever seen in my life to that day.
Yeah.
And chaos ensued, because in Cuba you can drink. There's clubs. There's a lot of Jamaicans with a lot of herb, You
didn't stay sober and clean for long over there?
No. I took maybe 2 hours,
So when you go to jail in Cuba, what do you go to jail for?
So, on base, there's duty vans. There's a lot of parties, a lot of clubs. Like I said, not a lot of clubs, but there's a club. There's a lot of places, house parties, whatever. And one night I was the duty van driver, and I was lit, just driving people home. And one of the guys on the thing was an MP. He was a police officer in the back of the van, and I'm speeding. I'm having this little speed chase with this guy that I got into it with at the party. I think speed limit's like 15 on base. I'm driving 60 chasing this guy.
Oh, you ready to fight?
Yeah. And I remember Buddy in the back, the police officer, MP, he's talking shit and stuff, sorry. And man, I stopped the van. I reached around and just cold slapped him right in his face.
The military police.
Yes. And that was a bad idea.
Clearly.
I guess he called his people, and man, next thing I know, every side. So, I was the first person to go to that jail in a long time. I almost got that base shut down for dry, right? No more drink. Wow. Yeah, it was bad. I had a lot of people in there, a guy taking notes of everything I was saying because I was in there. I was drunk and talking mad stuff. And man, bad.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you... Now, how old are you here?
Today? I don't know. 26, 25, 26.
Yeah. Now, how long ago you think it was?
What do you mean?
How many years ago?
That was 13 years ago. I'm 40 today.
God, you're a good 40, Brian. Happy birthday. That. You're 40 today?
No. April. Today is in this year right now in the present. I'm 40 years old.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you were saying you slid in on me on your birthday. No, I'm like, man, you're trying to get me for dinner or something, man.
I'm a spring baby. Taurus in the house.
Okay. So, well, for one, that's that whole thing that we just went through is a crazy ride of insanity, drug use, endangerment, just nuts. That's a crazy story. So did you ever at any point see you becoming Dr. Fleck, the guy that you are now?
Well, one, I'm not a doctor, right?
I mean, you might as well be.
A lot of people, no. I got clean. I remember, I was getting high with this lady, and she introduced me, Sophia's mom said, you can't, you get up for 10, 14 days, you start living in a not reality. And I remember Christina telling me, you can't see your daughter anymore. This is too much. And I remember getting high with this lady, old school lady. She's done 9 years. She might be shooting dope to this day. Anyways, I don't think so, but she introduced me to us. She said, well, what about, Narcotics Anonymous? I'm like, what is that? And so, I went to my first meeting, the light flipped on, and I didn't know what was possible for me, but I knew that like whatever it was, I was going to give it 110, right? Because I gave all that, all the chaos, the little funny stories, I gave that 110. I never went anywhere halfway and did halfway shit. I always was 110% on anything that I did. And so I knew that like, wow, you telling me I can live without putting anything in my body? Like, who knows what's possible? But no, did I think I was get here? No.
What do you think it was about that when you first started going to recovery meetings? I'm going to say that way we don't endorse anyone. Nobody comes at me to attack me.
Yeah, that's good. And I should have left it alone. But what was it like?
Yeah. What was it you heard in that atmosphere of recovery that made you made you think you could stop getting high when nothing else worked? It
wasn't what I heard. It was what I saw. I could look into an individual's face, because like us.
Yeah, we know us.
I know, but I know. Yeah, it's almost like the eyes are the windows to a soul, right? And I know somebody without them even speaking, right? Because I've watched them. Yeah. I see what they're doing. And that's just how you survive out there. And when I came into the rooms, it wasn't what I heard, it was what I saw. And I saw the pain in people's eyes that looked just like mine when I looked into the mirror, and that they were smiling, and that they were hugging, and that they were laughing. And, and they were, this was a joy. This was a place of love. Like I could feel it, it wasn't what I heard, it was what I saw and what I felt that made me keep coming back. That was the one thing that I did hear. But it was what I saw and what I felt is why I kept going back.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. And so how long have you been clean now? How long have you been in recovery?
Let's see, April 11th, 2016 is my clean date. So 7.5 years.
Okay. That's amazing. Now, were you ever in recovery at any point before that?
Now you know that.
Yeah, but they don't. The listeners don't.
I saw you come in. Yes.
Yeah, I literally remember thinking this is the coolest freaking dude I've ever seen in recovery.
No. Anyways,
yeah, you were. You had your chest. So y'all can't see this, but underneath Fleck's preppy sweatshirt is his chest piece, right? Like he's tatted like a Viking, like across his chest. And
well, you're wrong.
No, man. I mean, you made recovery look cool to me, man.
Okay.
You, Mike H, Jeremy Rhodes. Like I remember, I get there and I'm straight out the joint for my 6th time. I'm fighting for my life. I got a hella dope charge over my head. Mm-hmm. I end up signing for time, and God had a different plan. That whole sentencing order gets tore up, amended, and I never have to go to a day of it. But it was you, and it was Mike H, and it was Jeremy that really inspired me in the inception of my recovery, man. Like those early stages, there would be no Jimmy McGill in the state of Arkansas if you guys would not have made this shit look appealing to me.
That's what's up, man.
And for a long time, I thought life without getting high would suck. There was no way that, I can't have sex if I'm not on meth. Mm-hmm. What fun is life going to be if I can't tear up your brand new TV with a butter knife and try to put it back together? I can't imagine living if I can't do those things. And you guys showed me that shit was crazy. And this is what life is supposed to look like. Yep. You really did impact me hard, Fleck.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Just passing it along, right? That's just what we do. That's what you do, right? That's what we're here for right now. This is just to carry a message of hope. And hopefully, it can help just one person. If it just helps one person, we in there.
Yeah.
But I was in 2 years prior to my clean date, right? I had 2 years clean, didn't put in any work, kind of half-assed things, got all this stuff back, and thought, hey, these people are, I'm different, right? I'm looking at the differences and not the similarities. And so, one weekend in Memphis, I did the goofy, got a gram of dope, ate it, and, stripper, pony, boom, see ya. Yeah.
So I think it's important, right? Like it's important for the viewers and the listeners to know that you had a reoccurrence of drug use, right? Like, because so many people today, they fall off or they go back to use and they give up and they think, damn, man, this is it. I'm ashamed. I'll never bounce back from this. But you did after 2 years clean and gathering all this stuff. And you didn't lose all that on your relapse either.
No. It was a weekend. It was a weekend, which was going to turn into forever. One of my best friends, my old Navy roommate, who is no longer with us, rest in peace, Troy Smith, my man, he saved my life that weekend. I was going to take him back to the airport. He was flying back to Tampa. And I said, man, I'm going to hold the room down. Right. And he knew I was on one, but he knew I was in recovery and he wasn't going to let it happen. And he's, he was a bodybuilder, big guy. Right. And, he said, what you need to do is pack your shit and get your punk ass in the car and take your punk ass back home to your family. And, I sized him up and he looked for real. And I said, I don't think I'm trying to do that right now. So
I think I'm going to pass on that. Enough bad ideas over the weekend.
Because I had been to the gym with him and the man he's not just big, the man was
swole up, like
man,
big,
no,
like bigger than John Bristow.
but strong. I'm talking about strong.
Yeah.
I've seen the weights. I've seen the slow reps. I saw it. So anyways,
Yeah.
so I went home, man. And on my way home, I'm coming down and I called my sponsor and, shout out to him. But, it's like, hey, good for being honest. Now take yourself to a meeting and own up to it. And that's what I did. And, I was in a meeting the next day, man, in the corner. I'll never forget it. Recovery Central. And,
I was there.
Yeah. Told on myself. And, that's the fundamental of life as it is, right? Like if I can be honest with myself and others, I got a chance in this thing.
Yeah.
And staying, clean and sober for the rest of my life. Right. And so that had embarked really a fundamental, just the rest of my journey. Right. I remember that just butt naked honesty from the jump of this last time. And I think it can, hopefully just for today anyways.
So how long after when you came in and announced that you got high, that you'd relapsed, how long after that was it that you decided to start medical school?
Well, when I first got clean in 2014, I said, man, I'm going back to school. I have no felonies. Come on, let's go. I've got some medical experience.
And you done beat every charge that you've been in jail for.
Yeah. I mean, okay. And then it's just a bunch of, just a bunch of petty stuff. That one time, anyways, maybe two. But man, the fire was lit in me, and I knew that there was more to my life than just what I had been doing, and kind of, I didn't see a lot of people in recovery jumping into it, but man, I went to school within the first 6 months, and was, my first semester was 2 F's and a C, thinking, like I needed some humbleness and to really know that like I've got to put in some work if I want this. And so anyways, my journey began in school and I didn't stop. They tried to slow me down. I didn't stop. My first year of nursing, I was on probation with the state, for some old stuff. Right. But they didn't know me, and I didn't care. What do you want me to do? I'll jump through these hoops. Come on, let's go. And so I drove to Malvern every day after a 12-hour shift to go pee, because there wasn't any male to supervise me in the city of Little Rock. I was willing to do whatever it took to get to where I was going, and I wasn't going to stop. And then once I found that psych, I worked at the state hospital and I loved it. Those were my people, talking to walls and throwing feces and then fighting. And
it takes a special kind of guy to want to work with somebody throwing poop.
Well, hey, listen, those are my people, right? People who are struggling mentally, because I lived in that world for a little while. You stay up long enough on dope, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. And so anyways, I'm blessed to have that opportunity and learned about psych. And I was going to continue that until I got into my master's program, which I just graduated in May from Walden University with my master's in nursing. And, today I'm a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and I just got my prescription pad in the mail. What?
That is so crazy. Bro, that is nuts. Yeah. You can literally write prescriptions.
Yes. I know, man. Hey, trust me. Blows my mind every day to even think about this,
that the amount of integrity it takes for them to give a person a prescription pad. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, only good people, for the most part, and Arkansas is number 2 in the country for overprescribing opiates. We're not like other states where it's hard to get a script. Last year there were enough opiates prescribed for every man, woman, and child to have 100 pills each. And so for people like you to be stepping into these positions and to be so public with your own personal recovery story, this is how we shape the narrative. This is how we rewrite what society thinks about our population of people. And make no mistake, it is your population of people. It is my population of people. When they hear the word drug addict, they think homeless, stinky, bum under a street corner, bridge, digging through church. That's not the case at all. You are a licensed psych nurse that can prescribe medicines for people. You are one step away from being a doctor, Fleck, and you were traveling all over the world smoking rock, bro. I was defined as the textbook epitome of a criminal. And I've shared the stage with the president of the U.S. I just left the White House a couple of months ago, bro. So there is no ceiling to what recovery does for our people.
Right.
And the problem with the world is they don't hear our stories. And so this is our way of reshaping and rewriting that box that they put us in.
Yeah.
Man, you're a bad dude, man.
Yeah, a closed mouth doesn't get fed, I don't know about a bad dude, but I'm just like you. I really do. I give a shit about the addict, right? And I want to help as many people as possible, just from a place of love, right? Like, that's it. That's it. I don't need this stuff. I don't, my car's wrecked right now. I don't need a new one, right? Like, I live in a modest house. I don't need a new one, even though the walls are closing in on me because I just had a baby, but I don't need a new one, right? Like, I'm not chasing money, right? I just want to be of service because I took so much from this world, right? I abused so many women. I abused so many men. I abused children in my addiction, and I refuse to be that person anymore. I refuse. And I want to be somebody that when that person walks in full of shame and guilt for those same things that they've done, I want to be the first person that they see. Right.
Yeah, we definitely need to get that for a clip, Ty. That almost broke me down, man.
Well,
so let me ask you something, Fleck. Now that you work in recovery, right? What are some of the biggest threats and challenges that you see for people in early recovery?
One of the biggest threats, and it's kind of like when you showed us around earlier, right? Like, I have people contact me and I hate having to ask. The first question I have learned now, it wasn't like that. I'd go down this rabbit. I'd say, okay, cool. What do you got? Where are they at? How can I get? But now here's what I have to ask now. What insurance do they have?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, these people just came from under a bridge. They don't have insurance.
That's what makes faith-based recovery so vital to Arkansas. When you contact someone who's a faith-based treatment provider, their first question is not what kind of insurance you have. It's how soon can you get here?
Yeah.
Do you need a ride?
Yeah.
And it sucks that the people who are in the position to provide the services like you can, your hands are tied.
Yeah.
By big corporation America.
Yeah. And it's really, it's just hard to watch, right? Because that's how poverty stays poverty, right? And that person stays out there longer, maybe dies, right? Because they didn't have insurance.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. We've got to do better than this. Because don't count us out, right? Please don't count us out. Some of the best people I know in this world are in recovery. And I've met,
the best humans I've ever met are in recovery. Like,
there are some amazing people.
Yeah.
In recovery.
And some of the best men and women that I've ever had the privilege of having conversations with have done more time than most people could even begin to even imagine, right? Like, we are the most innovative people, most creative people. We come with a passion that can't be bought, taught, replicated, duplicated. We've got a desire to give back because we tore down so much, right? Like, we've been to more funerals than weddings, birthdays, and graduations combined. We have a passion in us that burns so bright, no water in the world could put it out, bro.
That's right. I feel that,
Yeah.
It's in me too, right?
Yeah.
And thank God that somebody, gave us a chance, or took a liking to us, or whatever it was along the way. I've had so much help along the way from people in the church community, just everywhere, right? And thank God for those people helping me along the way. But
so I heard you mention new baby.
New baby.
How's that working out?
So I have a 13-year-old and a 4-month-old.
Wow.
I don't know. When people ask me that, how's that going? I don't know how I look.
You look great.
Yeah.
Like,
Claire, Claire, my sweet partner, does most of the work. And
she's pretty awesome too.
Yeah. And I was talking to somebody just last night, had some friends in town, but mothers, oh my gosh, like there's nobody stronger on this planet than a mother. Period.
Yeah.
Not an addict. Nobody. I'm talking about a mother.
A mama.
Yes, a mama.
Oh, mama hen pick you out by them little chicks.
Yes. But anyways, man, listen, recovery gave me, one of the greatest gifts recovery has given me is the chance to be a good father.
Yeah.
I am not perfect. I mess up all the time. You bring my 13-year-old in here, she's going to let you know because she's honest as well. But man, it is so much fun to be a father. I've had so much fun. So this new addition has been, it's all good. His name is Ace.
Ace. You named him Ace?
We sure did. Ace Coon Boom, baby.
Okay. Ace. Why Ace? Where'd that come from?
Well, I don't know. We had a bunch of names and I said, well, Ace was on the list. And I said, man, that'd be a cool middle name. I'll call him Ace. Right. And Claire, man, when she says some things, her words,
she's a teacher. So
yeah, but she's kind of quiet and reserved. But when she speaks, at least to me, I'm, oh, okay. She said, well, if we're going to call him Ace, we're going to name him Ace. And I said, hey, all right.
All right, Ace.
Yeah.
So what's the future look like for you and Claire?
Man, listen, she is the most sweetest person I've ever met.
Yeah, she's awesome, dude.
In my life. And
she's as athletic as you are too.
I mean, I don't know if you want to say that.
I mean, y'all competitive like that? I saw her dive at the kickball and catch that thing in midair.
Did you see when it hit her in her face and I had to catch it? Did you see that one in the finals or was it the semis? Yeah. But anyways, yes, she is.
So is the potential there?
For sure. I'm just a knucklehead and I'm still working through some things on paper and, for myself, I've got a lot of healing, right. That I still need to do, but I'll tell you what, Claire's, made me a better man, a better father, and just a better person. So
I can relate. That's how it is with me and Chelsea. Yeah.
You got lucky. Yeah.
I did. It's, we worked harder this year on learning how to communicate with each other, than ever before. And I'm a better man and a better husband for it. And you can attest to it, Brian. We get clean. We don't know how to be in a relationship. I know how to have a hostage situation. I know how to make you listen to what I want to say, but I don't have any idea how to listen to your point of view patiently, not interrupt you, and insert my dominance opinion because my opinion is what matters most. Right. That's a process for me to learn that. And Chelsea's been very patient and so have I. And, we both struggled more with our mental health than ever before this last year. 2023 was a hard year for us. We had nights and days of dark, dark depression, and then we would have months of happiness, so it's been a good year for us. And I wouldn't trade Chelsea or my marriage for anything in the world. The only thing I regret is today I know that Chelsea was meant for me. And I didn't have the patience to wait on God's plan. And so I slept with everybody in the world before I ever met Chelsea. When all I had to do was wait and God was going to give me the perfect mate. And I mean, we just fit together.
I agree. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I was at your wedding.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah. I'm hoping I'm at yours.
I see it. Yeah.
We ain't going to get into all that if you watch it. Hey, we go.
But I am, listen, I'm taken, right? Like this,
that's yours. She's yours. You're hers.
Yeah. I'm committed wholeheartedly to Claire for sure. In all aspects of life. I know she probably gets pretty frustrated with me at times, but man, I'm committed. I'm happy. And 2023 has been fantastic, right? Like my daughter, I got a teenager, I graduate, I pass my boards, I get a DEA, I have a son, man, life is
freaking awesome, man.
Life is good, right? Life is so good. And, I appreciate, what you're doing here, and the things that you're able to accomplish through social media. My sponsor always told me never turn down a reasonable request. And, it's almost a no brainer, even though I've got things I need to be doing, but this is something that doesn't come along often. The amount of people that you can reach, is awesome. But the message of hope that you carry, man, I'm all for it. And I'm riding with you. I think it's.
You remember a few years back? I mean, they were tearing my ass up in the recovery community for being on social media. It just wasn't popular then.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, if it with good things comes resistance, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to go through that struggle. You wouldn't be here today if it wasn't people for talking bad about you or saying whatever about you. Like this, it was supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Right. This is way out of our range. We are not in control. You know what I mean? And so as long as we follow our hearts, right, and carry a clear message of hope, then, man, we in there.
Yeah.
Right. And God's grace takes care of the rest.
Yeah. I often, I'm at this place where I know recovery, God brought me to recovery, but recovery brought me to God. Like, I always knew that there was something way bigger than me orchestrating things, but the things in my life that have happened over the last 9 years has been everything about my life, Fleck, has been what the world says is impossible and can't happen, doesn't happen. Like it won't happen. I got a full pardon after 6 trips to prison with gun rights.
Yeah.
If that's not Jesus Christ, what do you call it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I went from zip tying people to wearing neckties at conferences in front of thousands of people.
That's right.
If it's not God, what do you call it? I went from sitting in a state prison to a state position and was being walked out of prison with 2 COs on each side of me with a brown paper sack, and they're clowning on me saying, I'll be back. I'll tell Big Country to leave the light on for you. And I've shared the stage with the president, man. I've helped write policies that have shaped reentry and recovery across the country, and if that's not God, I don't know what, I don't know what to tell anybody who can't see that's God.
You don't need to. It's all about just keep being you, right? Keep your heart in the right place. And man, it's all going to work out. I mean, look at this, right? Like I was at your marriage, I mean, your wedding. I was at your pardon party. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Keep going.
My God.
Hey, it's all good.
Yeah. We ain't going to stop. We ain't going to stop till we are on CNN. We need our own TV show, and Ty ain't going to be working laptops. He's going to be telling cameras which angles to cut. We going hard,
And Ty's legit. So you got good people around you. He knows what he's doing.
I hope so. He's got all my passwords.
Careful.
I will say that when people ask me, and, I'm sure you get this a lot. If you don't, you will, how did you get here? And for me, it was my only part in all this was being the biggest jackass I could be and showing up. God did the rest, man.
Just following the path laid out for me. Right.
Yeah.
And when decisions arise, you remember that we talked at that meeting and you were like, hey man, do you need a job when you graduate? Hit these people up. And those people's numbers were big, right? And they move fast, like you said. So, but for me, to follow my heart and know that where I was at was the right thing to do, man. Yeah, it's all,
Yeah, it's good, man.
Everything that glitters isn't gold, right?
Facts.
Right. We stand on our message, right?
Yeah.
Stand on it.
It's so good, man. You've been a great guest. It's been a good conversation, Flack. We're going to have to have you back on here in a year or so, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you.
Yeah. So for the listeners and the viewers, anybody that's watching right now, what do you want to say about, what kind of inspiration do you have to drop for those struggling or the parents who are on bended knees every night praying for the kids still trapped in addiction?
Yeah, well, that's 2 different questions, right? For the parents, you want to say you're gonna have to let your kid find their bottom, right? But my parents never did that, right? And they kept on. So I don't know what's right or wrong for the parent. I know that you need to reach out and ask for help. For the addict still suffering, man, there's a new way to live. I'm proof. You're proof, right? Like there's a completely new way to live in this world. And, closed mouth doesn't get fed.
That's right, man.
And so,
that's good stuff, man. Well, Fleck, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I
Mm-hmm.
want to give a huge shout out to Next Step Recovery Housing, the National Peer Recovery Alliance, Safe Haven Ministries, and American Business Engine for making this podcast possible, and for everybody who supports us, likes us, shares us, follows us on social media. Please subscribe to the YouTube, Facebook, Jimmy McGill Live, Prison to Purpose on TikTok and YouTube, and leave in the comments who you want to hear next. Tag the people that you want to hear their story on From Prison to Purpose. Fleck, I love you, man.
Love you
Thanks
too,
for
man.
coming out, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
You've been listening to From Prison to Purpose with Jimmy McGill. Please subscribe on any of the major podcasting platforms and on YouTube at Prison to Purpose. This podcast is produced by Ty King with American Business Engine and executive producer Jimmy McGill. For more information, visit us at jimmymcgill.org.